Welcome back to the Microbit Basics course. I'm Helen. Do you have a fitness tracker? Today we're going to take a look at how the microbit can become a simple step counter. Our step counter will even give us feedback on whether we've taken enough steps at the end of the day. So why buy one when you can make one? By the end of this video, you'll know how to use the microbit to count your steps and show you the number, use a variable to record the number of steps you've taken, and use a conditional function to trigger the output based on the number of steps you've taken. You'll also focus on starting your projects from the problem, not the code. Are you ready? I'll be honest. When I first started thinking about this video, I thought about the code first. I was coding away, trying to find a good way to demonstrate data processing, but I just wasn't getting any good ideas. But then I remembered that the best way to find a good project is to start with a real-world problem and think of ways you can solve it. The code just forms part of the solution. So I started thinking about a problem in my life that I wanted to find a solution to. I sometimes worry that I'm not getting enough exercise, and I thought that having a way of tracking my steps could be really motivating. Next, I did some research, and I found out that most people take 3,000 steps a day. So I decided to try and program my microbit to count my steps and tell me at the end of the day if I've walked more or less than the average person. Next, I looked online and found an existing project to help me with my step counter, and then added in some of my own code to get the exact result I wanted. Sharing your code and building on other people's code that already exists is very important to coders. We're kind of like magpies. You must make sure that the author of any code that you use has given their consent and that you credit them correctly. Follow this link to see the original code. Let's go back to the Make Code block editor. Remember, this is microbit specific, but there are other ways to code. For example, you can use Scratch for block-based programming, or for the next level up in complexity, you might want to try a text-based language, such as JavaScript or Python. So, how do we code this? First, let's recreate the basic code from the step counter project I found online. They started off by making a variable to store the number of steps. Next, we need to add a step to our counter each time we move. A good way of doing this is by attaching the microbit to our ankle and detecting when the microbit shakes. The project we found online uses the onShake input block to increase the value of our variable by 1 every time we take a step. We also need to write some code that gives us a way of seeing how many steps we've taken. To do this, we can drag in a forever block, followed by a showNumber block, and our step variable. So, our microbit can now count and display steps. But we want to do more. We want to be able to process data with it and tell us if we've reached our goal at the end of the day. So, I want my microbit step counter to give me feedback on whether I've reached my goal at the touch of a button at the end of my day's activity. I want it to be able to show me a heart and a smiley face if I've walked 3,000 steps or more, or if I've not reached my goal, to show a heart and a sad face. So here's how I did it. Inside the event handler onButtonA pressed, I put the steps variable into a conditional. If the number of steps is equal to or greater than 3,000, the microbit displays a smiley face and a heart 4 times, using a loop. If it's less than 3,000, it displays a sad face and a heart. This means that if I press button A at the end of my day, I'll know whether I've achieved my exercise goals. Let's look at this in the simulator. See what happens when I shake it? Now, let's press button A and see if it does what we expect it to. So, let's see how this works on a physical device. Once your code is ready, you'll need to transfer it to your microbit, just like this. Connect your microbit to your computer using a USB cable. Next, choose a name for your file and press Save. What happens next depends on the type of computer you're using, but they're all pretty similar. You'll need to press Save and then the code will be saved as a .hex file on your computer, probably in your Downloads folder. Once you've saved the file onto your computer, you can drag and drop your .hex file from the location where you saved it onto the microbit, which will appear as a drive when you plug the microbit in. Your microbit is ready to use when the yellow light stops flashing. And here we go. See what happens as I walk? The numbers show how many steps I have taken. Now, let's press button A and see what happens. When I press button A, I see a sad face because I haven't reached the daily average number of steps. I'd better keep going then. We have now seen how a variable, a bit of maths, and a conditional can help us process data in many useful ways, whether it's for the microbit or for another coding language or platform. So, what's the best way to come up with projects like this? Start thinking about problems in your life, your community, or the wider world, and take notes of ideas that you have of ways to make things better. You can then start thinking about the way that technology can help you. Taking inspiration from other people's projects is really important. One project I really loved recently came from a group in South Africa who invented a reusable water bottle that counted how many times you drank from it. It warned you if you were at risk of dehydration, as well as reducing plastic waste. Follow this link to find lots of projects using different coding platforms. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Have fun problem solving and data processing, and I'll see you soon.